Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with the next session. It's called Practical Tips for Daily Living with Parkinson's Disease. And Diandra Hesson, who's a neurological occupational therapist at Medina Hospital, will do the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm like, wait a second, I get right after lunch, so I'm gonna try to be as exciting as possible and not boring at all, okay? Just kidding, I don't know, we'll give it a shot. So as an occupational therapist, I was so thankful to be asked to come here and talk to some of you. Not sure if you even know what occupational therapy is. And that doesn't mean I love overtime, because that is not the case. But occupational therapy, our job is a medical job, right? And we care about the whole person. So our job is to help you participate in things that are important to you. So occupation, meaning activities and roles and things that are important to you, not necessarily helping you find a job. So that's what we get to do. It's the best job ever. Okay. So when I have to tell you practical tips of daily living of people with Parkinson's disease, I was like, oh my gosh, do you know how many different things can affect your daily activities? So I just came up with some of the things. So these are impairments that can be seen in Parkinson's disease that can affect your occupational performance. So things like bradykinesia, hypokinesia, a lot of the slow, small movements, obviously tremor, obviously some rigidity. But people don't think about the fatigue, the depression, the cognitive impairments, right? Or visual impairments. So unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of things that can cause you to have problems with your everyday activities. So real quick, occupational therapists like to look at the whole person. So say you came to occupational therapy, you said, I have a problem with XYZ. We're gonna look at the person, the environment you're in, and the activity, okay? So what can we change about you? What can we change about your environment? What could we change about the activity itself? Okay, that's what this means here. And then in the middle, you'll see a purple. That will be a perfect balance of all three, okay? Sorry this is fast, but we're gonna gotta keep going here. Okay, so I have some disclaimers. My favorite disclaimer for all of my patients is if you are on dopamine medication, right, to help with your Parkinson's disease, you are gonna want to wait until the medication has kicked in before doing something difficult, okay? So I hate to tell you, but you're gonna want to do your activities based on where you are in your medication schedule. That's like number one I tell my patients. But a lot of these tips that we have today are going to be generic. And it's going to be mostly recommending modifying the activity or your environment, okay? Because I can't talk about personal things because I don't really know all of you. But you can, the wonderful thing is we in this area, I know Cleveland Clinic specifically, have some awesome OTs that would love to help you more specifically, and we'll get onto that in a little bit. So what I did when I did this presentation, I've met a lot of patients with Parkinson's disease, okay? And I put together a list of the most common issues. This is my issue. How can we work on it? So I put the question on. So what we'll see is you'll see the question, and then I'll kind of go through some answers, okay? First question or issue. Mealtime is so stressful or tiring. Any of you have trouble with eating or mealtime? Awesome, this is good. Hopefully you will never have that. But we're gonna talk about this. So, when you go to eat, it depends on what's going on and why it's stressful for you. Some basic things that could help you would be weighted silverware. They make silverware that's 7 ounces. That's almost half of a pound, and it could help with some tremor, okay? If you have trouble grasping, your hand doesn't want to close all the way, They make larger grip utensils, and even on Amazon, they sell these foam that you can stick whatever you want into them, a spoon, a razor, and it just builds up that grip. So those are some basic things that could help you while you're eating, okay? Some other things that I love to tell my patients. So good old shelf liner. You think, oh my goodness, what's that doing? That helps stabilize your plate, your bowl, your cup. Simple old shelf liner you could buy at the dollar store. Then also I love to tell my patients, if you're having trouble scooping or like you feel like you're chasing your peas around your plate, anybody ever feel that way? Exactly. Eat out of a bowl. Eat everything out of a bowl. They sell bowls with handles. So you can hold on to a handle and scoop with the other hand. Super, super helpful, right? And then here's a picture of some bowls that I found on Amazon. They have kind of a grippy bottom to them so they don't go sliding all around. But you could take a regular high-walled bowl, put it on some shelf liner so it doesn't slide all over the place. One of my favorite tips, okay? Next problem. I have a hard time putting on my shirt or jacket. Anybody ever feel like that? Yes, that is the biggest question that I get. So let's go. Let's go for some basic tips, okay? Again, these aren't specific to you because we've never met, but these are some basic tips. If you have an arm that gives you more trouble, whether it's more stiff, whether that's the arm that tremors more, the weak arm, dress that arm first, okay? That's number one. Then, I'll show you this in just a second. It says, bring button-up shirt or jacket around your head versus reaching around your back. You're thinking, what does that mean? I'm going to show you, but I'm going to go forward real quick. So, another thing that I love to tell my patients, I don't know if you've ever seen jackets like this at JCPenney or Macy's or wherever, lightweight and super slick, but they're actually really warm. I have one myself. So I'm going to show you, a lot of my Parkinson patients love this because there's not a lot of resistance when putting them on. So I'm going to show you how I recommend a patient with Parkinson's to put this on. So if you can kind of see what I'm doing up here. All right, here's mine. I ordered this online through Eddie Bauer. It was probably like $80, which sounds like a lot of money because it is. But I love this jacket. Super lightweight, right? Super lightweight. All right, so what I tell patients to do, if you can watch real quick. All right, I tell them, grab this top, right? If you're gonna put your arm in, this is my troubled arm, I'm going to reach around and swing it over. That's what I mean by over the top. Because where you get into a problem is when you try to do this. Anybody have that problem? Right. So what I tell my patients, another way, over the top. If you get a slick jacket, they slide on so easy. Don't worry, I don't work for Eddie Bauer or anything like that. They're not the only ones who sell it. They have a lot of people who sell these kind of jackets, okay? But over the top, swing it around. That's my favorite tip for those with Parkinson's, because that reaching back behind becomes very, very difficult. Okay, on we go. Next question. I have a hard time buttoning my shirt. So what happens is you start losing your fine motor dexterity or you start to tremor, right? So if you're having just pure fine motor issues, meaning your fingers feel fumbly and they're not working too well, they do sell a device that's called a button hook. It's actually much like a how to thread a sewing needle. It's kind of the same idea. I actually brought one up here with me if you ever wanted to see it, but this is called a button hook. And again, very generic, but if you have problems with fine motor coordination, this could be helpful for you. Some other things that are super cool and interesting are they have shirts that have magnetic buttons. So if you look at this guy's shirt, it looks like a button up, but it's actually a bunch of magnets. And they say, like the patients that have them, you go to put them together and it's like magnets all the way up very quickly. So that's a cool option. I know for a fact Duluth Trading Company, they make some of these magnetic shirts. That's what this is actually from, the Duluth Trading Company. They also have a company called MagnaReady and Buttons to Buttons. MagnaReady is also another company online that sells magnetic shirts, okay? Button to Buttons. Now this is what we're looking at right here. So say you have your favorite button-up shirt and you don't want to buy one that has magnets on it. This lady, I think her dad had Parkinson, so she came up with this idea. You can turn your buttons into magnets. So essentially, you get rid of having to button, and your family member or yourself can turn your buttons into magnets. You get like 9 in a pack, and it's pretty affordable. Again, I'm not selling any of this stuff. I'm just giving you some information. Okay. Not only do they have magnets, but they have Velcro closures. So if you didn't want to deal with the magnets, they do have clothes. And Tommy Hilfiger, that's a known name brand, he makes clothes with Velcro. Buck and Buck is another online, they sell a lot of Velcro closure clothes. So shirts, pants, jackets, those types of things. And if you wanted to type into Amazon or Google, this is what I put down here. Type in adaptive Velcro shirt, and then you'll probably see a ton of different things. Okay, next question. I have a hard time putting on my socks. Anybody? Yep, it's a big one. All right, so my number one recommendation is you're going to try to sit down to do this. A lot of people don't want to sit down. I'm not old. I don't want to have to sit down. I want to do what I normally do. Well, here's my thing. You got to do what's best for you and safest for you. And if that's sitting down, that's awesome. I'd rather you not try to stand up and fall over and hurt yourself. So number one rule is to sit down when getting dressed. Another idea is you could get a footstool, right? And put your foot up on a stool while you're sitting. And then hiking your leg onto a bed or a chair, like this, okay? So a lot of you are recommended to use compression socks, right? So this doesn't include compression socks. Those are hard to get on. But if you don't need compression socks, diabetic socks are actually a really good idea, okay? They're much easier to put on than regular socks, so you don't have as much pulling. So they do make something called a sock aid. If you really can't bend over or you can't bring your foot up over your knee, they do make these little gadgets called a sock aid. And as long as you have enough grip strength, sometimes I'll try to work with a patient, they don't have enough strength in their hands to use it. But again, these are generic ideas. You come to OT and we'll do something more specific for you. All right, next. I have a hard time tying my shoes. There you go, girl. I get it. So, Velcro shoes, obviously, you could wear Velcro shoes, right? But they also make things like elastic shoelaces. This one here, there's no tying involved. There's actually kind of like a button. You just slide it right up. No tying involved. And then these are elastic shoelaces, and it just turns your tennis shoes into slide-ons. Super cool. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of these. If not, they're like the newest best thing for Parkinson patients. These are called slip-in shoes. And Kizik, I think the one who came up with it, but Skechers caught on, and even this company called OrthoFeet. So what this is this part of the shoe is hard, and it acts like a shoehorn. Any of you seen these kind of shoes? Super cool, super cool. I see a lot of my Parkinson patients with these shoes because they just literally slip their feet right in, and don't have to worry. So slip in shoes if you're taking notes. Super helpful. Next question. I have a hard time getting off the toilet. Hey, don't be ashamed. It happens to all of us. So, some of the basics. You can't really see my pictures. I apologize. They have raised toilet seats, right, that lift you up about 4 or 5 inches. You could set it right on your pot. They have, oops, we're going to go back. They have ones that have handles on them, if you need the handles. If you love your toilet and it's already high, but you need something to hold on to, they sell these toilet frames, like a toilet safety frame. And then the good old grab bars. I would have no problem putting grab bars up in my own house. I think this is very safe. And if you're having any type of mobility issues, grab bars are very safe, and it's a good idea sooner than later to put them up. So another one I get is if those of you that have freezing, they say, you know, I really can't pull my pants up. I stand up from the toilet, I do everything okay, and then I'm stuck. So what I like to tell my patients with the freezing problem, you'll see this again in a minute. 1, 2, 3, pull. Oh, they count to 3, they're able to pull their pants up over their butt. Something to try. Again, these are just general and basic things for you to think of. But if you ever have freezing, 1, 2, 3, pull. All right. Next question. I have a hard time with flexibility for wiping. Oh, I'm pulling my pants up. Uh-oh, did I put that in the wrong one? Sorry. Okay. So, a lot of you might not have trouble with the wiping and the flexibility and things. But if you do, if you could get past what it is, putting on a bidet on your toilet has been life-changing for a lot of my patients, right? It keeps them independent. Because if you're having trouble reaching back, your family's going to have to help you, right? So to stay independent, you can buy something like this, and if you have a friend that knows how to install things, very simple, $35 on Amazon, and it turns your toilet into a bidet. If you can get past the bidet idea, life-changing, super helpful, okay? Now, they also make toilet wands or toilet aid, they call it a Juvo wand. There's a Freedom wand, which it's like a wand, and it extends your reach. I have one of those up there, not used. You can look at here in a little bit. So if you're having trouble with extending the reach, the wand could be good. But again, think about the bidet, life-changing. Okay, this is where I was talking about pulling up your pants. I think earlier I meant if you have trouble initiating getting off the toilet. So say you're on the toilet and you're freezing, 1, 2, 3, then try to get up. Same thing with this. 1, 2, 3, pull. Are we snoozing in the back? Just kidding. All right, let's keep going. Next question. I have a hard time shaving my face and brushing my teeth. Yep, get it. I totally get it. I shave my face, just kidding. But brushing your teeth. So, something to think about. Oral hygiene is a preventable risk factor, okay, in developing aspiration pneumonia. So sometimes people develop this aspiration pneumonia where your fluid goes down into the wrong pipe, into your lungs. So what they say is oral hygiene is super, super important because you got to get that bacteria out so you're not putting it down into your lungs if you accidentally swallow your saliva. So, electric everything. So electric razors can be helpful, especially if you're tremoring and you feel like you're going to prick yourself, right? Electric razors. Electric toothbrushes. They don't have to be super fancy, but they add a little bit of weight. They add a little bit of circumference. Actually, I think there's someone giving boxes away. You might want to check them out. But electric toothbrushes could be helpful because sometimes if you have that problem where you can't go back and forth, it's doing the work for you, okay? So electric razor, electric toothbrushes, they make water picks nowadays. So they're essentially like a big electric toothbrush and you're just putting them so you don't have to worry about flossing. And then always alcohol-free mouthwash. Okay, next question. I have fallen several times in the shower. How could I be safer? So, shower chair versus the bench if you're having balance difficulties. Who cares? Set the pride aside. You want to be safe. So put a shower chair, put a bench in your shower. Grab bars, always recommend grab bars. And the non-skid rubber mats can be super helpful for you, okay? And I have a hard time reaching my areas to clean, whether that's feet or booty or whatever it is. These are some things that could help you. They make a handheld shower. They make long-handled little poof, and they make long-handled brushes. You could find these anywhere, Walmart, Target, right? Super helpful. I have a hard time managing my medications and remembering to take them. Super important. Use a pill box. I am the pill box guru. Use a pill box. That way you know when you miss a medication, the pills are going to still be in there if you miss. Use a pill box. Set alarms on your devices. Let your family help you. Last but not least, my handwriting is small. I can't even sign a check. If you have tremors, they make weighted pens. They make weights that go onto your hand to steady your hand, right? And always use lined paper because it's going to help you stay straight. And think big. If you tell yourself big, 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 your handwriting more than likely is going to be more legible. So they also make Dragon if you have a loud enough voice. And you can, right on Amazon, you can buy pre-made signature stamps to sign your checks. Also a super cool idea. So the nice thing is the Cleveland Clinic Neuro team is offering free handwriting screens right next door in the break area. So make sure to get a handwriting screen. And I want to thank you for having me here. So if you want more detailed problem solving, like you're thinking, man, I have this issue or that issue, ask your neurologist. Say, hey, I want to go to OT. I'm going to, even if it's a couple sessions, we can talk about your specific problem. And also, I'm going to be up here if you want to come see any of these products or ask me any questions. But make sure the OT that you find specializes in neurological populations, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening.